If you've ever been stuck asking yourself at 3 p.m. what's for dinner tonight to only ask your family and the answer is always pizza, then I have you covered because I'm taking you along in my kitchen and showing you all the healthy dinners I make for my family of four. My hope for you is to find inspiration to cook a few homemade dinners this week in your kitchen and to welcome you into my kitchen. So let's get cozy with a full week of healthy dinners to make your week feel lighter with the meal plan all set and ready for you. The first healthy dinner I'm making for my family of four this week was Crockpot lamb roast tacos. And I started off by cutting up one onion and adding a lamb roast into the crock pot along with the onions. Mine was already pre-seasoned, but chili, paprika, cumin, and garlic powder would be delicious spices to add. Then I added a quarter cup orange juice and about a half a cup of filtered water and a tablespoon of unpasteurized honey. Then I cooked it on high for around 3 hours, or you could do on low for 5 hours. Then I moved on to making homemade tortillas, and quite honestly, this was my first time ever making them. So by no means are they
Then do you want to pour
perfect,
it in?
and I have much to learn, but you could
Oh,
easily
yep.
swap
And then
this
pour
out
it
and
in.
purchase already made ones from the store, but
Yeah.
surprisingly, they were much easier to make than I anticipated,
This is
and I
called
even
baking
had
now.
a little sous chef helping me, which I absolutely love having in the kitchen. And so I just began
That's
with adding 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons baking powder, one and
yeah.
a half teaspoons salt, and 5 tablespoons salted butter at about room temperature. The recipe also noted you could swap the butter for coconut oil instead to make it dairy free. And then I just added 1 cup of hot water and I rolled it into a ball. And then I essentially just flipped it. I completely forget what the terminology is to do this, but I essentially just rolled it into one side and then flipped it and then rolled it again and folded it. And then once I did that a few times, I put it into a bowl and covered it with a cool, damp cloth. And I let it sit for about 5 minutes before I rolled it into little balls. So I've left it to sit now for around 10 minutes covered in the damp cloth, and now I'm separating the dough into about 10 to 12 smaller balls and then rolling them out to form a small tortilla. I heard just putting the tortilla right into a warm pan without oil or butter works well, and it worked out really well. I just simply put the dough into the pan without any butter or oil, left it there until it started bubbling on the top, and then I flipped it and kept it in the pan for around another 30 seconds or so and repeated until they were all done. And then I just covered them with a towel until I was ready to serve them at dinner.
So I'm just pairing this with some salsa and then I'm just cutting up some fresh avocado. I would absolutely have used cilantro as well for a topping, but we don't have any. I feel like whenever I make a recipe, I'm always missing at least one or two of the ingredients. So we're just gonna roll with it. It's going to still be delicious. So I'm trying something new out. I'm just adding some salsa to a bowl, and I'm going to take a little bit of the sauce that the meat was cooking in, and I'm just going to mix it together to make like a little drizzle to put onto the tacos. I did see this happen before in another recipe and it sounded good. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to taste good, but I definitely want to try and give it a try. So we're gonna do that tonight. Okay, and then I'm just gonna take the meat out and I'm gonna just shred it up and that will be served as the tacos. I may have overdone the meat a little bit too because we were just out for a little while and I didn't remember to turn the crock pot down on low, but I still think it's going to be delicious. But if you try this recipe out, definitely do on high for about 3 hours and then on low for about 5 hours.
This dinner turned out so tasty, and both my husband and kids loved it. The only thing I would have probably changed next time would be adding the salsa to the shredded roast in a bowl and giving it a good stir. I just found putting the salsa over top, it did make the tortillas a little soggier than hoped, but it was still a very tasty, healthy dinner, and we all really enjoyed it.
So I'm making a super simple marinade for dinner tonight. It's early morning, so I'm just mixing up the ingredients and putting the chicken into bags, and then that way it can have time to sit and marinate throughout the day, and it'll make dinner again far easier tonight. So I'm just adding in some avocado oil, some soy sauce, and then just about a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, and then as for honey, about a 1/4 cup. You can sub for brown sugar if you'd like as well, but I just want to use more of a natural sweetener. Some paprika, and then I'm just gonna mix that all up.
Started out with making the marinade and adding the chicken drumsticks to a Ziploc bag. I found these organic grass-fed chicken drumsticks from Costco, and I find they have the absolute best prices for organic meats because here where we live, it's very easy to spend over $20 on 6 drumsticks. So whenever I can
And I'm
buy
just
it in
gonna
bulk,
pour
the
this
better.
in.
So I simply just added the marinade onto the drumsticks and let it sit in the fridge for around at least 4 hours to really blend all the flavors.
Okay, so for the meat, I have just been letting it marinate for pretty much the entire day since about 9, and it's about 4 o'clock now. And I'm just going to put it all on this baking sheet, and I'm going to bake it in the oven until it's thoroughly cooked. And then I'm going to add some sweet potatoes on the baking sheet and put that as well in the oven to make some nice sweet potato fries. And then I'll just drizzle the remainder of this sauce just on top of them. Now when it comes to the sweet potato fries, I just put in some cold water with some ice. I just slice them up. I left the skin on because there's a lot of fiber in the sweet potato skins, and fiber can really help support your blood sugar. But as for the sweet potato fries, I soak them in a bit of an ice bath because it says it allows them to get crispier in the oven that way. I don't know if that's actually necessarily true or not. I would love for someone that cooks to let me know down below if that is actually true. I find it does make them a little bit more crispier than not soaking in an ice bath. And then I just dab them all off, make sure that they're nice and dry, and then I will put them on the baking tray. So my camera just died as I was in the middle of that, but I just drizzled some avocado oil on, and then I just sprinkled some salt, and you can flavor these with whatever you would like. I've done garlic powder, I've done paprika, onion powder, but tonight I'm just keeping it real simple with some salt. So I really wanted to make Parmesan asparagus and zucchini in the oven. My brother-in-law made it for us a little while ago, and it was so good. I'm not even really a fan of asparagus or zucchini, but when I tell you it was delicious with the added Parmesan in it, and it made it nice and crispy, it was a delight to eat. But I thought I had Parmesan, and I do not. So we are improvising, and it's not quite the same really at all, but I'm just making a mixed green salad to go with the sweet potato fries and the chicken drumsticks. I am just making an easy salad dressing. It's simply 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and then I did about a teaspoon of Dijon. I'm doing 1 clove of garlic, And then I'm just going to squeeze in some fresh lemon juice.
Now I'm just making a quick dip to serve alongside the sweet potato fries because nothing tastes better to me than a crispy, salty sweet potato fry with this particular dip. I just add around 1/4 cup of mayo, either store-bought or homemade works just fine. Then 1 tablespoon or less of hot sauce, depending on how spicy you'd like the dip to be, and a squeeze of one fresh lime. And you give it a good stir, and it's the most delicious, easiest dip to make for fries. And this dinner turned out so good. It's one of those easy summer healthy dinners you can cook in less than 20 minutes, especially on the barbecue. The sweet potato fries may take a little longer to cook depending on your desired texture, but regardless, it was a win and an easy dinner to serve for your family.
So for tonight's dinner, we are doing a lovely peach salsa chicken tacos. And I'm just prepping some of the peach salsa ahead of time so I can get kind of a head start on dinner. I have the tortillas just sitting on the counter beside me. And honestly, I have never made tortillas from scratch, so we'll truly see how it works out. But tonight we are making the chicken peach salsa tacos. It honestly takes like not even 15 minutes. The thing that takes the longest is the chicken to cook. Other than that, it's just simply cutting up some peaches, some green onions, squeezing some lime, cutting up some red pepper, and that's truly it. And this is why I love to prep it ahead of time, because I find all of the flavors just kind of marinate together when it's in the fridge. And when it comes to eat at dinner, it is so tasty. So, and honestly, if I am being 100% honest, my kids don't always eat the peach salsa. They probably rarely ever do, but they do like the peaches and they do like the peppers deconstructed off on the side or in their tortilla. They just have a thing about it all being mixed together, and that is totally fine with me. My husband and I absolutely love it, and then my kiddos, they'll enjoy it just a little bit more deconstructed.
Okay, now for the chicken, I bought the stripped chicken and cut them into smaller pieces. I find they are much more tender than chicken breasts, and I added around 2 teaspoons of paprika with some avocado oil. And while I let the chicken cook, I made the sauce to serve with the tacos. And again, it's such an easy sauce. It's about 1/4 cup of plain yogurt, 1/4 cup of homemade or store-bought mayo, 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard, 1 teaspoon of hot sauce or more, depending on your taste, and a squeeze of fresh lime. Then I just give it a good stir. And once the chicken is done, I just served it up. And honestly, it's one of our most loved summer dinners.
Doesn't really do justice because of the lighting.
For this night's meal plan, it's one of those dinners you make when you simply just don't want to cook. It's as close to a store-bought pre-made dinner there is, but a little bit healthier. I just cut up some carrots and potatoes and spread them out onto a baking tray. And all I did was just add some avocado oil and a generous pinch of salt, and I kept it just extremely simple. You could totally add on some more spices like garlic powder or whatever you'd like, but I just did salt, oil, and pepper. Then cooked some lamb chops, which are a huge hit in our house. for the lamb chops, I kept it so simple yet again because that was just my motto in the kitchen. But I just added about 1 to 2 tablespoons of butter into a bowl with 1 clove of fresh minced garlic and some thyme. And then I just threw that all into the pan and let the lamb chops kind of cook and sear into it. And then I served it up with alongside the potatoes and roasted carrots, and it was just an easy thrown together meal that my family all enjoyed. Now for the next dinner on the meal plan, it was a salmon orzo dish, and I've made something similar to this dinner before, but with sausage instead of the salmon, which was equally as delicious. But this time I started out with cooking the salmon, then removed the salmon, and in the same pan I added some avocado oil, onion, minced fresh garlic, and toasted about 1 cup of orzo. And then while that was toasting, I added in some Italian seasoning, and then I added in 3 cups of broth. You could use chicken broth, vegetable broth, bone broth, whatever one you prefer. And I just brought it to a boil. Then I reduced it to a low simmer and let it just cook for about 15 minutes until the orzo was nice and cooked through. And I added in a few handfuls of spinach. And then once that all got mixed in and wilted, I added in about a half squeeze of fresh lemon juice and about it's called for a quarter cup of Parmesan, but I added in definitely quite a bit more, probably more like a half a cup. And then I added the salmon back into the pot. And it was so delicious. It was such a comforting meal, but also had a bit of taste of summer into the dinner as well, especially with the salmon and the flavors of the orzo and lemon. But thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope it brought you lots of dinner inspiration and help with your meal plan.